Sorry, I got to do that. All right, good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the Plymouth School Committee meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we get started, we have a moment of silence. Do we have one or do we have two today? Just one? Okay. Well, we're only doing, I guess then,
Samba Matsu?
we'll do that at the next meeting.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
Oh, he was in the paper. Mr. Samba Matsu,
Okay, so we're going to take a quick moment of silence to honor Edward Hardy. Edward started with our district on September 1st, 1971. He served our district for 26 years. He was a social studies teacher at Plymouth Carver Intermediate School from 1971 to 1997. So if we could just have a moment of silence for Mr. Hardy. Thank you. And then we'll probably do the other one another time. Okay. Next, do we have anybody here from the public that would like to speak to the school committee? No? Seeing no one, we'll move on.
not one to forget.
Yeah, I know. All right. And next, we're going to hear from our student representatives. And let's start with Eddie can I call you Eddie, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Eddie Payson from Plymouth North High School.
Hi, thank you. MCAS parent reports are mailed home Wednesday with results from the May and June 2017 MCAS tests. MCAS retests for any students that have not yet passed will begin in November. Congratulations to golfers Jonathan Liskoff and Jack Parker for being selected as Patriot All-League All-Stars. Also, congratulations to Chloe Gates for being selected as Plymouth North Sportsmanship Award and Tony Pagninis as our Scholar Athlete. Congratulations to the following Patriot League Field Hockey All-Stars: seniors Ariana Bremis, Julia Zanaboni, Caroline DeGravio, and freshman Maeve Reynolds. Also, congratulations to Academic All-Stars, senior Isabella Balboni, and sportsmanship winner Julia Ford. The National Honor Society induction will be held on Tuesday, November 28th. The ceremony will be in the Plymouth North Performing Arts Center at 7 p.m. First quarter marks closed on Friday, November 3rd, and report cards will be distributed on Thursday, November 9th. All parents and guardians should expect their students to report home with the report cards on that day. On Thursday, November 9th, the Plymouth North High School History Department and Student Council will host a Veterans Day Assembly. The school will honor members of the Plymouth community that served in the armed forces. Presentations will be held at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., followed by a luncheon with the veterans. Meet the Coaches and Clearance Night will be held on Monday, November 13th at 6:30 in the Plymouth North High School Performing Arts Center. The annual Powder Puff game is at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, November 8th at Plymouth North High School. Many of our Plymouth North students are looking forward for a big win during these fun events. Female players have been practicing diligently to make an impression on their fans. Bus passes were distributed to all students last week. If your student has not yet received a bus pass, please have them see Mrs. Kendall in the main office. The Thanksgiving football game will be North versus South tickets will be on sale at all lunches starting on Thursday, November 16th through Wednesday, November 22nd in student services. Advance price for all tickets is $5 and $8 on the day of the game. The Thanksgiving Day game will be held at Plymouth South High School Thursday, November 23rd at 10 a.m.
Great. Thanks, Eddie. All right, next we'll hear from Plymouth South High School and Isabella Chung.
Good afternoon. So just like Eddie said, May and June 2017 MCAS results were distributed back to parents earlier this week, and parents are free to see results for their students. The Plymouth Marching Bands had a wonderful day on Saturday, October 28th, participating in UMass Amherst Band Day. Our South Theater Guild will present the musical Little Woman on November 17th and 18th. Both shows begin at 7 o'clock in our new Performing Arts Center, and student discounted tickets went on sale this week in school for $6. Our 2017 annual Senior Oktoberfest was a very big success this year. Seniors enjoyed the Hypnotist and went to the stadium for lunch and class bonding. Students and staff all had a great afternoon. Plymouth South High School Guidance is hosting college admissions representatives this week during K-Block in our new Black Box Theater, 3 days per week. This has been well received by all students, and we're taking advantage of meeting representatives for admissions from each college.
It's okay, it's done.
All right. The new main road up to the school is open, and we hope to see construction on the student walkway soon leading up to the school. Our main office staff hosted a pink out this week, and we raised $760 for breast cancer awareness and research. And our girls soccer team advanced in the state tournament with a 3-2 win over Bishop Staying. We travel to Rockland tomorrow at 3 p.m. to try and advance further into the tournament. And Term 1 grades are posted today, and report cards are going to be sent home on Thursday. Our Interact Club and AP Environmental Club has joined forces to work on expanding recycling through our new school, and our pep rally was just wrapped up last week, and it included all sports.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank
Isabella.
you.
Okay. All right, next we have old business. Does anybody have anything for old business? Okay, I actually do. And I know that it's actually not on, I've talked to Dr. Campbell about this already. It's not still on old business because we took it off, but I think this is the appropriate place to bring it up. I've had several complaints and concerns from parents about the sound system still at Plymouth North during halftime shows. The dance team at the last home game actually laid on the ground for over 8 minutes while they tried to get the music to work. And I don't believe it actually ended up working. I do know that I did discuss it with Dr. Campbell and Dr. Maestas, and the dance and right after that, that same day, the dance and the cheer teams got an apology letter from the athletic director. So I'm assuming it's being worked on.
Yes.
Did you want to address? I know you.
All I can say is that I know it's being worked on. I know that there's a game on Thursday, and so there'll be a lot of activity on that field, and it will be, my understanding is it will be resolved by then.
Great.
So it is being actively pursued.
Great. I know I just made a promise to the parents to bring it up because it wasn't a fun experience for the
I'm
girls.
sure.
Ms. Badger?
I just have an additional, it's not on the old business, but I think we talked about it during the retreat when we talked about the CPAC and developing a policy to go with it, to if we're going to have a liaison as a member, we had talked about establishing a policy and making sure that, like, if our member goes, our, director of special education goes as well. So and who do we appoint? I'm happy to do it. I'm on all their communications, but I just want to make sure that I'm following the committee policy or.
Is that on the, for what?
The CPAC. Special
The
education.
special education, we talked about it at our retreat. Yeah, and we did,
But I thought we decided at the end to do a policy to make sure that, like, so if I go, I thought that was what.
A thing that you can go, but you're not going as a person of the school committee.
See, I kind of think that we decided, we talked about that, but then we talked about if I show up, they're going to assume I'm a member of the school committee.
But it's
so
not
that-
gonna be, but it's not gonna be an official.
So I just want to put out there because I think it would be a good thing to consider.
I know maybe Dr. Cano, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. I was going to say, from my understanding is we were sending a letter, but we haven't had a response to that letter that we sent, have we?
My understanding is there's been no response to that letter, correct? One thing that is, in terms of policy, I know that we do have a committee policy that is a school committee policy. We can look at that as a subcommittee and see if there's any recommendations to further evaluate that particular policy, Ms. Badger, and see if there's something that this committee would see as maybe an improvement to that policy.
I think it's important because at the end of our conversation, we discussed how it was a committee that we had put together. It wasn't just the parents came together like we originally thought. It was by the former special
It is
education
originally
director
recognized
years
by a
ago.
school committee,
And
correct.
so I
It's
think,
part of
I think it's
Mass
important that we
General
do
law.
take a look at that. So
I
that'd be
thought
great.
that
Thank you.
That the conversation went around to not doing it officially, and that it wasn't really a function of the school committee. I just thought that was what came of it. Am I wrong?
I thought when we knew that we were the official, that we set it up, that we realized we had to take responsibility. So that's all. I
All right,
just
so
wanna,
maybe we need to bring it back for
I think
for
we
another
do.
discussion and make
Yeah.
sure that that's clarified.
I thought it was Stacy.
Mr. Begley, did you have?
Yeah, I thought we,
Mrs. Rogers, Dr. Rogers, excuse me,
Yeah.
is sort of the official representative
that's right.
of the school department in
That's
her
what I
role
heard.
on the CPAC, correct?
yes.
Yeah, she's the
Yes.
one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
so she's our
So,
representative.
yeah, she should,
Yeah,
The
I just
staff
must
should
have
be the one.
misunderstood because the notes I have from our retreat say different. So I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. Because I'm on there, they're inviting me, and I don't not want to go. And I did tell Stacy that I'll only go when she goes, so that we're there together
you'd have
if
to
we
work it
do
out with
go.
Stacy, I would say.
It's my
because
understanding that,
Okay.
We're not official.
in terms of
me-
representing as a school committee member, but to be a participant in a meeting, that anyone would be welcome to join that meeting, but that Dr. Rogers would be the formal representative, excuse me,
if that's the
at
deal,
CPAC,
that
that's my
works for me.
understanding.
I just
But we can
Maybe
sort of
we
look
can
at that
find out.
policy.
yeah, that's my
That's what
concern.
I.
Maybe we can just find out why they haven't responded to the letter or make sure
Yeah,
that they got it, too.
I can see what the status of that is. and
Reach
see
out
if
to
we have
them
any
about
other
that.
word on that.
Okay.
But my understanding is we haven't.
Okay.
Anything else for old business? How about new business? Nope, okay. All right, superintendent's report, and I know Dr. Maliestis, and I'm sure you're going to
Yes.
talk about that. I actually just talked to him.
You
He-
did- well,
He called
they're
me.
starting their day right
He was
now.
getting ready to go to breakfast, so in his absence, Dr. Campbell.
Yeah, so let's start off the report with the fact that Dr. Maestas and Dr. Sorensen are in China this week. As all of you know, and much of our public knows, we have a partnership with China. We have some students that are residing here in Plymouth in a homestay situation in Plymouth South High School, and this is a relatively new partnership that we have with Mass Education International. Part of that opportunity is to explore other exchange opportunities, both for the students from China as well as our own students. So Dr. Maestas and Dr. Sorensen are meeting with a number of dignitaries and education officials over in Beijing and in Shanghai, I believe, at some point, to discuss some potential opportunities. So I look forward to, as I'm sure all of you do, hearing of the results of those meetings when they come back next week and get right back to work. So I'm sure they'll be exhausted when they get back, and we wish them a safe trip. Some of the remarks I have were said by the students already. We're glad to say that Plymouth South High School main access road is now open, which certainly will alleviate some congestion, I think, and traffic flow will certainly improve. In the mornings, the police will be a presence for a while until the routine is established to help students and families regarding this new traffic pattern. The main road goes right through the Old South for parent drop-off and pickup. Students who park in the lot will continue to do that. However, they will not need to go looping around the school as they have since the start of the school year. Rather, there is a two-way entrance and exit at the student parking. So again, the police department is supporting that. The administration obviously is supporting that as well. And we're happy to see that, coming along, and look forward to the student pathway, as Isabella mentioned, coming to fruition as well. Also, another congratulations to Plymouth South High School, the girls soccer defeating Bishop Stang, as was already said, in their first round of the tournament. And they'll be playing again tomorrow at 3 p.m. in Rockland, and we wish them well. Also want to congratulate North High School's field hockey team for making tournament the first time in over 30 years. I think that's pretty impressive. While they lost 1-0 in the first round, we're very proud of that accomplishment. Plymouth North High School's drama club put on the play Moon Over Buffalo this weekend. It was a very funny performance. We're very proud of all the students and staff involved in that production. Actually, Eddie was a part of that as well, and I wish he was here. He did a great job. Middle School Coffee House was also this weekend, very big audience, great turnout there, another huge success. And also, as was already said, South High School's very first production at Plymouth South High School will be Friday, November 17th, the kickoff, as the students put on Little Women. The students have been working extremely hard for this production, for the debut of the Plymouth South High School Performing Arts Center and their own musical. We're very excited about that. Tickets are on sale now, and we encourage folks to get your tickets before they sell out. A number of things parents should have received or will be receiving over the course of this week. First, the MCAS results have been sent home last Wednesday. If you have any questions about those reports, please contact your building administration and they can answer those questions. Grade 8 parents would have received also a letter regarding the prevention program, which we're instituting this year. The screening will be taking place in the near future, and a letter explaining that process and the opt-out process was in that, so we encourage parents to read that letter. If they have any questions, contact your building principal, building administration, and they can answer any questions. And also, marks closed, as it was said, for middle school and high school last Friday, and you should expect the report cards coming home at the end of this week. And lastly, we're at the beginning of budget season at Central, and individual budget meetings will be taking place with all cost center managers starting next week as we prepare for December budget. So that's what we have for the report tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Does anybody have anything for Dr. Campbell? All right, great. All right, next we have a presentation from Hedge Elementary School. Oh, wait, no, wait, I'm sorry. Hold on.
We're excited.
I was getting so excited.
Stealing my thunder.
Correspondence, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you. We have two correspondence this evening. The first one is a letter from Homeschool Association of Manamet Elementary School noting the fundraising for the purchase and installation of a playground. The letter acknowledges the official gifting of the new playground to the Plymouth Public Schools. The second letter is an invitation from the Visit 1820 Working Group and the Building Committee to consider contributing a letter or letters with, my thing is cut off here.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, yours is cut off too. I can work around it. With messages for the future to be sealed in a time capsule installed in the glass case in the new town hall. The time capsule is planned to be sealed at the close of the 2017, kind of gets cut off here. Planned to be opened November 2067, 50 years in the future.
And I will add with the time capsule that I have talked to Dr. Sorensen, Dr. Maestas, and Dr. Campbell, and if it pleases the committee, Dr. Sorensen and Dr. Maestas, while they're away, are going to compose a letter for us to all review and then sign, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, great. Anybody else? Okay. All right, now we have a presentation, school improvement plan for Hedge Elementary School.
Welcome.
Welcome to the school committee meeting. And Mrs. Wilson, I'll let you introduce your group.
Sure, I just want to, is this working?
Nope, I don't think so. Here we go.
Right now.
No, it's working?
Yep.
Great. Thank you for having us here this evening. I'm Kristen Wilson. I'm the building principal of Hedge Elementary School. This is my 5th year in leadership at Hedge. To my left, I have my 3rd grade team, Mrs. Amy Shea and Miss Katie Tessitore. Katie is also doing her administrative intern this year, so she's been instrumental in a lot of the work that we have done. And over to my right, we have a new member, Miss Lisa Brissett. She's a parent representative, and next to her is Nicole Manfredi, a 2nd grade teacher at Hedge. And behind us, we have our faithful community rep, Mr. James Ma, who was a former parent but has stuck with us as a community member because he loves us so much. And what we're going to do this evening is we're going to talk a little bit about Hedge. It is our school committee on the road evening, so we'll get to see the video that our EDTV produced for us this evening. And then we're going to briefly go through our last 2 years' school improvement plan and then present to you our new school improvement plan. And all of us will participate in that presentation. So a little bit about Hedge School. We are a walking school that was built in 1910, so we are 107 years old. We are now, with Mount Pleasant being closed, the oldest operating school in Plymouth. So we're very proud to be the oldest elementary school in Plymouth. At the time I wrote the school improvement plan in mid-October, we had 144 students enrolled at Hedge School. Our free and reduced lunch numbers, as you know, are very high, and Mr. Vancott applied for a grant this year, which allowed our students to all receive free lunch and breakfast, no matter what if they qualify for free or reduced lunch at all. So we have free breakfast and lunch for all of our students at Hedge. We have 11 classrooms. 17.6% of our students are receiving special education services, and 17% of our students are receiving English as a second language services. At the time we wrote this plan, we had 29 of our students attending West Elementary School. We have one more person starting over there tomorrow, so we're up to 30. We did see a shift in our enrollment. We had a very different conversation last year when we were at this table about our numbers and how they were fairly high for Hedge, and that was one of the instrumental decisions for us to move the students to West School. We have seen 50 students leave our school from mid-June to present time. So there was a big shift that we have, but we got a couple more students that registered today, so we were excited for that. At this time, I'd like to share our video that's going to be used as we present to you tonight. We have lots of components in the video that we'll be referring back to. So enjoy the show. This was a fun day for all of us when they came over. The children were very excited to do their EdTV. It was in the beginning of the year, so they hadn't really practiced being in front of a camera and being hosts. So this is really their first experience doing what they did for this presentation. So, and it was fun having everybody there. Want me to keep going? Go find it. I can add it in.
Wouldn't it have been under recorded TV? They keep opening videos instead of recorded TV.
I can keep going a little bit. I'll do a little bit, and then we'll go back to the video when they find it. You can stop me. So before we start, oh, there we go.
That's all you need to do.
That's
Like
all it
magic.
took.
Welcome to Hedge.
Thank you.
Here today.
Thank you.
Here at Hedge, all students have access to free breakfast and lunch. In the past, we have had free breakfast, but because our school qualified for a special grant, we are also qualified for free lunch.
Arrival and dismissal is a large part of our school community. We are a walking school, which means that there are no buses. This allows teachers and families to build relationships because they see each other on a daily basis.
We will be joining Miss Loki's class for morning meeting. Specialist teachers go into the classroom to host morning meetings when classroom teachers are on the PLCs. This allows specialist teachers to integrate into the classrooms and get to know the students better, which is great for everyone.
I love the way you've reutilized the space. As the years go by, this building has been so adaptable. It's really, it's very clever.
And I like this with the flowers on the wall that everybody wrote in this with their class. The whole school's on one board.
And I also like how you were sharing all the different spaces that you guys have in your classroom. So like if you need a break, you have a break spot, and you've got all different places to make sure that you're comfortable and you're doing your best work at school.
So in that video, you can see the new field that was highlighted on the website this past week, which has been beautiful, and we had a lovely celebration that several of you got to come with us, and we thank the town of Plymouth for that field. The children love it. If you haven't watched the video, those of you who are listening at home, please take a peek at our celebration because it was really a fun experience. One thing that we at Hedge were able to take advantage of these last couple of years is working with the Department of Education's DSAC support team. We were a level 2 school, but our scores a couple of years ago were fairly low. Even though we were held harmless, we were still offered support. And so we took advantage of the support that was given to us. And a lot of the work that we did last year and were using to draft our new school improvement plan was a result of the work that we did with DSAC. So one thing that we did was we had a consultant that came and worked with us in one of our goals, our goal 3, which is our RTI goal, we worked with DSAC and how we were going to roll that out. So one of our members today will be talking about that. We also had a team that attended a 4-day leadership workshop on inclusive practice. We were able to look at how we are servicing our special education students, and then we actually hired a consultant to come in and do a very honest needs assessment of our building and gave us some strong recommendations of how to move forward. So that's instrumental in what we drafted for this school's improvement plan as well. We also attended a turnaround workshop this summer, which we'll be highlighting a little bit further on into our presentation. So looking at our slide here, for our goal from the last 2 years was our overarching goal. So what we like to do is we like to have an overarching goal, which is our academic goal, and all of our other goals support the overarching goal, which is the academic improvement. So what we wanted was 75% of our students to be reading at or above grade level based on the Fountas and Pinnell assessment system. And we wanted 75% of our students to receive a 70 or above on the end of the year math district math assessment. So when we looked at our data, we first looked at our reading data, and we looked at the students that were enrolled at Hedge School the end of last year in June. And when we analyzed that data, 67% of our students were reading at or above grade level. And we were really disappointed with that data. We thought we could do better. But I don't know if you remember 2 years ago when I presented the school improvement plan, I identified the students that were currently enrolled at Hedge because we had identified that there's a lot of transiency in our community. So I kept that spreadsheet and I hid it and I didn't lose it, even when my computer crashed. And so I took the students that were there in fall of 2015 and I looked at the students that were still with us in June of 2017 and I pulled out the data that way, and 75% of those students were reading at and above grade level. So in the area of reading, we were very proud of meeting that goal. In math, which is one of the areas that we've identified that we need to work with, and we worked with DSAC, supported us in the area of math last year. When we looked at all the students that were with us in June at the end of last year, 61% of our students met the 70% or above that we were looking for. When I pulled out and I looked at the students that were with us for those 2 years, it only increased slightly to 63%. So when school council, when we were really looking at what we needed to do, we know that we need to work in the area of math. Continue doing what we're doing in reading, but also to really address what are we doing in math that we need to change and do differently. At this time, I'm going to hand off the next slide to Mrs. Shea.
Use this microphone. So our second goal was to create a safe and supportive school. And some of the things that we've been doing is that our staff attended a responsive classroom training last summer, and we've been implementing responsive classroom throughout our entire school. We have a morning meeting. We use classroom energizers in case students are off task or need a little bit of a break. Positive language is being used by all staff, and we're also implementing quiet time into our schedule. So after lunch and recess, students have 5 minutes to reset their brains and get ready for the academic learning that comes next. As you saw through the video, our hopes and dreams are posted throughout the school, and every student created a hope and dream, and we're following through during our morning meetings to see how they're reaching that goal and achieving their dreams. We have behavior interventions, and we're collaborating with our BCBA to work out how we're working with our behaviors and how are we going to improve the behaviors that are happening at Hedge. We also have logical consequences that we're trying to keep consistent throughout all of the classrooms. So if there's a certain rule in our classroom that has been broken or behavior that is occurring, we're trying to have a cohesive consequence. We're using self-regulation instruction, so we have the zones of regulations by our school psychologist and our adjustment counselor each week. And we also are using PBIS initiatives. So students are given Hedge School tickets if they're showing that they're responsible, respectful, or safe. We're having pizza with the principal, which is a very, very popular event. And this is done through whole school meetings as well. And we have a PBIS team, which is comprised of faculty members. Our recess staff and our volunteers who volunteer at recess receive training, and they learned games to play outside and reinforcing ideals of responsive classroom. We also have transitional spaces in our classroom. Those are the take a break spots for students who may need to calm down, reset if their body's dysregulated. And finally, we've been using a lot of sensory tools in our classroom. We have wiggle seats, potty, TheraBands, exercise balls, and those are just to help accommodate and help all of our students.
Great. Another piece that we had looked at for the data for that was looking at our office discipline referrals. And when I analyzed the discipline referrals from last year, 17% of our students had a discipline referral to me. So that doesn't mean that little things were happening in the classroom. They were things that were brought to my attention. Out of that 17%, 6% of the students of the whole school had 3 or more referrals. And out of those 6%, 4% of those students were receiving specialized instruction for behavior goals or referred for more support. So those numbers have gone down over time. When you look at our discipline referrals that we had a couple of years ago, we have seen some improvement in that, and we continue to look forward to improvement as we move forward. Next, we have Nicole Manfredi, and she's going to bring us through Goal 3 for us.
So during the last school improvement cycle, we developed a detailed response to intervention protocol for reading and math. Teachers and support staff meet about every 6 or 7 weeks to discuss performance levels of individual struggling learners. Learning goals are set and tiered instructional strategies are established to reach these goals. This system provides differentiated support that accelerates their rate of learning.
This was a lot of work that we did with our consultant that came with us, and the first thing she did was help us draft a protocol to use. So we had a form to fill out, and we had a protocol of how those meetings were going to be conducted. The biggest piece that she had us do was draft a goal for each student. So to identify a specific need based on the data and set a goal and monitor that goal over time. So that was a lot of work that we did. And then over last year, we took the original protocol that she gave us and we tweaked it about 3 to 4 times to get the current protocol that we have up on the screen. That's our math protocol that we're using. And we've right now just done our first round of setting goals for students, and we'll be meeting at the end of the month to analyze how they've made progress over this last 6-week cycle. Next, we have Ms. Tessatori is going to be doing Goal 4 for us.
Okay. Goal number 4 was to provide opportunities to support and communicate with families. Our goal was to have 80% of the families attend one school function during each year. So some of the things that we've done in the past 2 years is that we've created opportunities for to support hard-to-reach families, including creating the food pantry that we talked about the last time, the backpack meal program, home visits, and connecting families to support agencies and programs around Plymouth. We also have asked teachers to do 2 classroom presentations for parents and invite them in. So that might include something like a vocabulary parade, science fair, wax museum, animal projects, or a poetry cafe. We also do the art and music showcase, field day, the One Book, One School event, and also PTA sponsored events. We continue to utilize Facebook. So the PTA page has a Facebook page, and also Mrs. Wilson has a Hedge Facebook page. We continue to provide families with paper and electronic copies of the newsletter. We also have held parent workshops. We've held a math workshop and then parenting workshops for families. We have a bilingual translator who translates communication materials in Portuguese for our families. And then teachers continue to use electronic means of communication, so websites, blogs, emails, things like Class Dojo or the Remind app to communicate with families. We also have biweekly lending library where families can come in and get a book for free. And then we have established a parent information area in our building. And last but not least, we've provided families with clothes, winter coats, and boots.
Thank you, Katie. Before we get into our new school improvement plan for 2017-2019, I want to talk to you a little bit about the turnaround workshop that a handful of my teachers attended with me over the summer in August, which was another opportunity provided to us from the Department of Education. So what we learned when we went over the summer is we looked at schools that were level 4, level 5 schools that turned their schools around to become level 1 schools. And what we identified was that all these 4 practices that are up on the screen were embedded throughout the work that those schools did to improve the functions and the academic progress of the students. So when the school council met for the first time in September, we said, okay, we're going to embed these components into our school improvement plan because there's evidence that shows that these work. And simultaneously, when we got our needs assessment back from our private consultant, she identified several of these components of areas for us to look at. Number 1 being leadership opportunities for teachers, how to encourage teachers to be leaders within themselves. And we've addressed that in our current school improvement plan. And also was the instructional practices for all students, trying to get students more involved into the tier 1 level of instruction, not just pulling kids out that are receiving remedial support. So we're looking at that inclusive practice. So that's another goal that we really are spending a lot of time on this year that will be presented with you this evening. So to start with all that, we have Ms. Tessitore is going to work with Goal 1, which again is our overarching goal of academic achievement.
Okay. So goal number 1 is to increase academic achievement for all students. Mrs. Wilson had mentioned that in our last meeting, the last 2 goals, there's a lot of transiency in Hedge School. So based on that, we know we're going to try for 78% of the students that are currently attending Hedge will read at or above grade level as demonstrated by the benchmark assessment system in the spring of 2019. So we're talking about that cohort of children that are here now and will also still be here in the spring of 2019. We would also like 53% of the students currently attending Hedge will meet or exceed expectations on a qualifying score on the MCAS 2.0 in the spring of 2019. Again, the same cohort of children. So in order to achieve those goals, Hedge plans to continue the response to intervention system that we already have to identify gaps in draft learning goals and provide interventions and monitor progress that Nicole had talked about for Goal 3. We are currently doing that in the PLC meetings that Nicole had mentioned. Based on our needs assessment that Kristen had mentioned, we have completely revamped our way of teaching. So we've developed a school-wide model of inclusive practice for all students, and that includes students with disabilities and English language learners. All instruction is being done in the classroom. That's with the Title I teachers and the special ed teachers co-teaching within the classroom. There are 2 teaching spaces as you've seen on our video within the classroom for the small group support. We also plan for differentiated instruction together, so co-teachers meet weekly to plan, and we also have grade level meetings during the PLC time to plan for instruction and response to intervention across the grade levels. And that includes with the reading, our CTL, so the reading teacher, and also the English language learner, ESL teacher. We also provide homework help and tutoring after school for identified students. So a small group of students are meeting on Tuesday and Thursdays with me, and another high school student who's receiving community service hours. We also are providing enrichment opportunities for all students after school, and that includes problem solvers, Legos, writing outside the box, and fun and games. Additionally, teachers have noticed that students in the upper grades struggle with perseverance when it comes to something that is hard academically. So Hedge plans to increase student grit or stamina for these students by holding 2 school-wide contests per year that provide healthy competition and develop a sense of excitement about academics. So we plan on doing a spelling bee and also a Battle of the Books competition. We're also displaying quality work throughout the building so that students know what it looks like. So that's in the hallways and also in the classrooms. Currently, football players come and read to our students, and that's also another popular thing that happens at Hedge School. And we had seniors who had from last year who graduated who had attended Hedge School, and students had opportunities to ask questions about their education and their learning. So we plan to do that again, but we also plan to organize visits for grade 5 to visit Plymouth North and Plymouth South High to experience vocational opportunities that they'll see in their future. We also plan to do 2 career visits in which community members will come back to Hedge and speak to a panel of 4th and 5th grade. Well, there'll be a panel and they'll speak to the 4th and 5th grade students regarding their career and how they achieve those goals through education and learning. And then we have also developed and are currently running a peer leadership program for 5th grade.
Thank you, Katie. I just want to highlight on the grid that's up on this chart, and since my 3rd grade team is here, they're not going to bring it up themselves, but they really should be acknowledged for the hard work that they've done. If you take a peek up there and you look for ELA grade 3 and math grade 3, and you see where the district average is, look where we are. We're above the district average, and Hedge Elementary School typically is below the district average. So I just want, if you could share with me a big round of applause for our grade 3 team, because it's not just them. It's really everybody who came through that, grade 2, grade 1. It's really everyone who made that happen. So we are excited. We saw a little bit of movement this year at Hedge, and we're looking forward to seeing that movement continue. Katie mentioned the PLCs that we're doing, and I think that's one of the most exciting pieces that we have going on at Hedge Elementary School. And so Amy's going to talk a little bit more about how we're putting that all together to give some time for collaboration.
So we're working on establishing leadership opportunities for staff through a professional learning community. Right now, we've established a schedule for weekly grade level PLCs as well as a location to hold the meetings. Each grade level is assigned a day of the week to meet for 50 minutes in the conference room, which is located in part of our new music room, which is very exciting because usually music was held in the gym. So we have our own space. Here, collaboration is done with grade level classroom teachers, our MSN, the consulting teacher of literacy, our principal, our ELL teachers, and our Title I staff. We're all working together to collaborate on how to best differentiate instruction, review data, and progress students' learning. We're encouraging staff to assume leadership roles within this PLC as well. Each of our classrooms has 2 different teaching areas. This is done to support differentiation with varied staff. So these teaching spaces are simultaneously used by all staff members, and it's to target academic growth in small groups, which has been really successful so far this year. We're providing opportunities for teachers to observe each other's teaching. So far this year, our math and literacy coaches have come in to provide support on number talks and guided reading. Our grade levels are doing classroom try-its to incorporate these ideas into our teaching. So we are observing each other teaching in the classroom, and then after our lesson, we're reflecting with each other, talking about what we thought went really well in the lesson, what we can improve our instruction, and that's been very successful so far. We're also encouraging teachers to lead workshops and share best practices during school and in in-services. Currently, one of our teachers is working with specialist staffs to train them more on responsive classroom, because while we're at our PLCs, the specialist staff is coming into our classrooms and running morning meeting once a week. Our technology integration coach has been sending newsletters to update the school community on new ways to incorporate technology. And we're also working on building morale in the building. So we're having informal meetings every other Friday. We're having coffee and donuts and getting to know the whole building. And we're also doing a teacher spotlight to get to know everyone, and that's all staff members. This was done to help create a more cohesive school environment and community amongst all of the staff.
So this morning during our PLC, grade 1 met today, and we had our speech and language pathologist, our ELL teacher, our consulting teacher of literacy, our MSN, and our 2 first grade teachers. And we did some work on guided reading, and then we moved into, they worked on looking at the last math unit assessment, and they broke it down by standard, and they identified students that still needed some more support on those standards so that they could, when they go to do their small group instruction, they're going to target those students in the upcoming week as they're still teaching the new material that's coming. So that's the type of work that we're doing to try to make sure that people aren't, children aren't falling behind and they're getting the progress that they need. The next thing is we are going to hear from Mrs. Manfredi, and she's going to be doing goal number 3 for us.
So goal number 3 is to establish, establish a tiered system of supports in the area of social-emotional health, which would include instructional strategies for each tier, screening, goal setting, and progress monitoring. And during the last cycle, Hedge School developed a detailed response to intervention protocol that I mentioned previously for reading and math. And although students demonstrated academic progress through this tiered system of supports, it was noted that children struggling with social and emotional needs progressed at a slower rate than those without such challenges. So because of this, the council identified the need for a strategic system to support all students in the area of social and emotional health. To achieve this goal, our supports would include continuing school-based implementation of the responsive classroom curriculum, identifying and writing Tier 1 instruction for social and emotional learning, identify and writing interventions and supports for Tier 1 and Tier 2 approaches, continuing the PBIS school-based initiatives. Sorry, I'm the end of a cold. Some of the professional development objectives will be responsive classroom training for specialist staff and any new members hired, ongoing training regarding positive adult language as described through the responsive classroom approach, training for staff on zones of regulation, social thinking, and the Ophelia Project, which is a curriculum that's designed to address relational aggression and bullying. And success measures would include a written protocol developed for the tiered system of supports in the area of social-emotional health. This protocol will include a description of social-emotional instruction for each of the 3 tiers, a screening component to identify students at risk, and a system for goal setting and data tracking.
Great, thank you, Nicole. Next, we have Lisa Brissett, who's going to be working on goal number 4 for us.
Well, I had the opportunity of doing the increased engagement of all the Hedge families. And the 2 that we pointed out up on the board are the attendance and the open house. So as a parent, I always expect the open house to kind of be like the home opener because it's the beginning of the year and it should be the most important activity that families should go to. As going this past year, I've heard a lot of parents mention that it's the same old, so what's the point of even going? Which I don't think is the case at all. We should definitely go. So I think if we can, the school can revamp and change the format to make it more new and exciting for parents and families, it might entice them to go and then give them more reason to go to all the future activities if we just kind of spice things up and change it around. The other one up here is the attendance. And although the attendance absences have decreased, there's still a handful of students that have 20 or more unexcused absences, so we just feel we should do the best we can to get down to figure out how we can help that decrease even more. So I know Principal Wilson has been working on that with those families. Another good way we feel to engage, I was going to say clients, thinking of work here, the parents is social media. With crazy life of everyone, I think online and social media is the easiest to get everyone involved. I personally love the Class Dojo, which makes me challenge my son to how he can get more points on there.
It's a lot of pressure for me. My son's in my class.
So I try to, help him out that way and see what he can do and how good he can be. If used properly, it can definitely be a positive tool with families. I think all in all, if we can get more families involved with the school in the school activities, I think they'll be able to push their children more to be engaged, which will bring up kind of, less absences and just willingness to learn overall from the students.
Thank you, Lisa. And part of increasing the healthy competition, if you will, we're hoping that also will engage parents as well, because what we found when we looked at the activities that we hosted for families, the ones where students either were showing their work or they were doing something fun together as a family, those were the ones that had the most involvement. So we run parent workshops. We might get a handful of people coming, but if we do a one school literacy event in the evening, we get a huge amount of people coming. So we have to keep that in mind that, parents, us as parents, will come out if our kids are going to be showcasing something more than for ourselves. Unfortunately, we always put ourselves last, right? That ends our presentation for our school improvement plan this year, and I would love to hear if you have any questions. We'll do the best we can to answer for you.
Great, thank you very much. I can tell you guys worked really hard on this. Does anybody have anything for? No?
I just have some comments.
Mr. Begley?
That was excellent. You guys did an excellent job. There was a lot of detail there, and that was perfect. That was the right way to do it. It was perfect. Well done.
Yeah.
All of you participated really well. That was really well done. The tour that you guys put on, I'm really enjoying these tours that were going on. But because it looks like the kids are enjoying it, taking us around and showing us what they like about their classrooms and stuff. It's allowing that interaction, and it's really working out very well. But the thing that struck me the most was the goals and dreams, hopes and dreams. Every one of those kids, as they took us through parts of it, they all referenced it or talked about it at one time or another, so it's really sticking. They really seem to... They made those goals and they're trying to achieve them, and especially the young man that told us he was trying to read 30 books, I think. And he was well on his way.
Like halfway.
It was excellent. It was a good job. Very good job.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No. Great, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kristen. Thank you.
Okay, Nick, do you want a break? We've had a request while we're transitioning for a 5-minute break. Is that okay with everybody? All right, so I can't see the clock because I left my glasses at home.
7 minutes.
So how about like around 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
All right, we'll break for about 5 minutes, thank you. Okay, so next up, we have a out-of-state field trip request for Plymouth South Middle School. Hello.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hey.
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm Mike Capel, Leah Tyler, Choral Director at Plymouth South Middle School. There's just a little bit of correction. It started off as a South Middle School field trip, but it has evolved into a Plymouth Middle School's field trip. And the paperwork that was submitted does have all that information in there and all the signatures required and all of that. So we're here tonight to talk about an exciting opportunity. We think it's an exciting opportunity for middle school kids, specifically 7th and 8th grade choral students from both middle schools to have a chance to travel to New York City 2 days, June 8th and 9th. Ms. Tyler came to me not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and had this idea. We have this kind of evolving, growing extracurricular theater program in the Plymouth Public Schools. Both have been very strong at both middle schools, and it's great for our kids to have an opportunity to see high-end professional theater. And where in the world can you go to see the highest quality professional theater than New York City, which is not far away. So we evolved in the trip into the proposal that you see before us. Again, it's June 8th and 9th. With some exciting opportunities for the students that involve cultural and historical elements as well. the National September 11th Memorial. And that is the memorial, that is not the museum. I don't know if anybody's visited. The museum's amazing. Might be intense for some 7th and 8th graders, but the memorial is the outside park. Just beautiful, beautiful spaces and memorial, and giving the history of that event as well. They'll take a boat tour of the harbor and see the Statue of Liberty, actually land at Battery Park. They'll eat Empire State Building, head to New Jersey, because it's too expensive to stay in Manhattan. Wake up early. Ms. Tyler found an amazing Broadway workshop where students actually get to learn from Broadway experienced people in a 90-minute or 2-hour workshop. And they get to learn and perform and actually do, so it's very hands-on. Go to lunch, see a show at 2, and hop on a bus and come back to Plymouth, approximately 10:30 at night that day. We're looking at about, as quoted from Four Winds, and we've worked with Four Winds for my time here in Plymouth, 6 or 7 years. You called and talked to the owner of the company. They're a great resource. They're always available. They help us out. They've done lots of trips for us. We feel very comfortable with that company. Looking at before fundraising cost for the show, the bus, the hotel, all the experiences at about $359 before fundraising.
Originally, they had given us a quote that didn't include some of the meals, but we asked them to refigure it just to make it easier on us so that we have a place and a time to go to restaurants together and to also include that in the cost. So it did up the price a little bit, but as you can see, with 3 meals and a workshop and tours and boat trips, it's actually a really great price.
And there will be some fundraising
Yes, so
as well.
fundraising is a tough thing to do. Not all students want to do it, so I try to create opportunities for individuals to fund for their own trips, and then also some opportunities for us to fundraise as a group and to split the costs and make it less for everyone. So what better than hot drinks on a winter day, selling hot chocolate, hot cider, or tea just at lunchtime. That would be something really easy to do, and you could cater to a whole bunch of kids. I've talked to the cafeteria program, and they'd be fine with it. They're very helpful. So just estimated net would be 200 or so. It could be amazing and more than that. I thought like a music themed calendar, that would be something that individuals could sell to their family and friends, and we can kind of put some of the pictures from all of the VPA happenings that have happened. There's been some amazing opportunities that the kids have been involved in these past couple of years, and we can kind of put those together in a nice calendar. Super Bowl snacks, so maybe some chili and subs. I work with a youth group, and they had really great success with this. They all got together, they made some chili, and they made some subs, and people came and picked them up on the morning before the Super Bowl, and they did a really great job. And again, that would be the people who came and put in the time and effort to help with that, and they would get to reap the benefits of that. A cookie off. This was one of those things I woke up with, and I was like, a cookie off. So, it was an opportunity for students and parents to work together to create a unique kind of cookie. And we'd have a panel of teacher judges, so who doesn't want to, volunteer to taste some cookies and choose a winner. And there would be a $5 entry fee to enter your cookie into the contest. And then first place could win a basket of baking goodies, and second place maybe a $25 gift card to Stop and Shop. And I think between the two schools, we could make that a pretty successful event. We always get concert donations from any of the concerts that we do. So we could, say a percentage of that is going to go towards this trip, since only a percentage of the kids are going the 7th and 8th grade. But, we can kind of think about $350 definitely going towards that. And then as popularized by the PSMA, They worked with a restaurant and got them to donate a certain percentage of their profits from a night. And so just teaming up with, I know that 99 has done it, Panera, just finding a restaurant and having that work. And that would be a group effort as well.
And then, of course, we always want to provide great opportunities for our kids, but we also don't want cost to be a barrier. So through the fundraising and other financial aid, we will do everything we can to both open the door and find students who might not be able to afford the price of the trip, and work towards reducing their cost to a point where that the cost won't be a barrier for them. It's something that we've done always and we'll continue to do, and very mindful of. So in a nutshell, that's the trip. That's before you for consideration, and be happy to answer any questions or concerns that you might have.
Great. Do we have any questions from the committee?
Sounds
All
like a great
right,
trip.
so this is an action item. Oh, Mrs. Burgess?
Yeah, no, I just want to move it.
Okay, great.
Okay, I just move that we approve the trip as presented.
A second? Seconded by Mr. Bagley. Any discussion? All right, and we'll take a vote. My computer died. I'm going to try and do this on my phone. I think I can, so.
I did it once on my
Yep.
phone.
All right,
Yeah,
everybody, we've got,
yeah.
all right, and it's all set.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you all
very
very
much.
much. Have a nice evening.
You too.
Yep.
All right, and again, I'm working off my phone now, so please bear with me. And
Moon
then,
over Buffalo was very good, too, Mike. Moon over Buffalo. Some of us went, yeah, it was good.
Don't forget Little Women in 2 weeks.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to be away.
Yeah, I
I'm
gotta
so
get-
sad.
Yeah, I got to get the tickets.
All right, and next we have the FY19 capital improvement expenditure recommendations, and I believe Mr. Montron is here to, did you have
Yes,
anything
no,
to say?
Mr. Montran is here to explain the capital improvement process and the recommendations going before you.
Good evening.
Evening.
All right, welcome, Mr. Montron.
Thank you. Good evening. This is to review our capital outlay requests for fiscal 19. We have, I'm supposed to be using this little guy.
Doesn't appear like it.
Can we open that?
Oh,
Yeah.
We have 4 sections of capital outlay. We have building repairs and renovations, along with deferred projects. And second category is vehicle and equipment replacement. Our third is Plymouth South High School equipment. And our fourth is bonded projects. The building repair and renovations are 21 projects spread across the district. The first project is for West Elementary School in the amount of $36,000 to replace windows in one pod. This project was funded last year. We discovered when we had a contractor out to review the project and give us a price that the caulking between the panels of the school are deteriorating. And it's causing water infiltration to get in and around the windows. This money would be to add to the other project and to repair the windows, replace the windows. The second project is brick remediation at Nathaniel Morton. I've got it categorized as immediate stabilization repairs in the amount of $126,500. This was brought to our attention by our insurance company, Meyer, during their inspection last year, and they noted there were several safety issues with the brick that protrudes out from the building. You have some like columns that come out from the building at Nathaniel Morton. Those columns were designed with steel behind them, and it's our belief that the steel is deteriorated, and it's causing the brick to become loose. We went through last year and did some immediate repairs to the building to make it safe. We contracted with Gale Engineering and Commercial Masonry to go through and evaluate the outer envelope and come up with the repairs. We have netting. If you've been in Nathaniel Morton, you'll see some netting on some of the brick. That's to keep it safe so that nothing should fall on anyone. The third project is to replace the intercom at South Elementary School for $49,740. The system is shutting down at inopportune times. Basically, the intercom overheats, and we have to shut it down, reboot it after it's cooled down. And it's a big problem if there is an emergency in the building and you need to get a hold of people. The next project is to create additional parking at West Elementary in the amount of $31,000. West has long since overgrown their parking areas.
Yes.
This would be a similar project to what we've done at South and Indian Brook, and it would be to take out one of the grass areas and install more parking. The next project is exterior painting and cupola repairs at Hedge in the amount of $72,555. This again is a request that would be bundled with a project that we had last year for replacing the gutters. As we got into replacing the gutters, we found other problems with the trim and the cupola, so we put in for it this year to make that project more feasible. The sixth project is to replace carpet and tile, replace carpet with tile at PCIS in the IMC areas for $61,732. They are carpeted classrooms and hallways that are over 40 years old, and it would be a continuation of past projects here at PCIS. The seventh project would be asphalt repairs at South Middle School in the amount of $60,650. The sidewalk that goes around the bus loop at South Middle School is pulling away from the granite curbing due to weather. And this would be to repair that area and make it safe for students going in and out of the buses. The next is to install gym dividers at Indian Brook and Plymouth South Elementary in the amount of $21,554. And that is a request from the buildings to make the teaching space more conducive with their programming so that they could better teach in the gym. Excuse me. The next is to restore restoration of a play area at Cold Spring in the amount of $23,644. This would be to install a fence and guardrail around the playground area, which is next to a very active parking lot. It would also include some reloaming and seeding of dirt areas where the children play. Item 1.10. This one's on me. The list says that it's to install a chain link fence at PCIS in the amount of $42,555. When preparing this list, quite honestly, I had two projects at PCIS. One was to put up the chain link fence and one was to renovate the ball field. They were supposed to be grouped together. I misplaced one piece of paper, so it came out as one. So that total should be $105,740. And again, that's to renovate the field areas themselves. If anyone has been out to the field areas at PCIS, it's very sandy, very stony. It needs quite a bit of work. And the fencing is to keep cars off of the field. The next is to pave a parking lot and crack fill and seal coat at Hedge in the amount of $134,200. It would be to repave the parking area and crack fill and seal coat the playing area behind the school. The 12th project is to replace a public address system at PCIS in the amount of $27,751. It's an outdated system. It has some issues in some areas that we keep chasing because they can't hear in some of the classrooms at times. And, it's long overdue to be replaced. The 13th is to replace windows in one pod per year at Federal Furnace. And that, again, is very similar to the project that was up at number 1 for West Elementary. And we took into account the same issues that we had in that project. The 14th is to replace skylights at Federal Furnace in the amount of $64,610. The skylights are outdated. They have leaks, wind, snow, rain. We have issues with skylights in all of the satellite schools causing a maintenance issue. That would be to replace those skylights. The 15th is to replace asbestos tiles at Cold Spring School, continuation of last year's project, and install VCT tiles. These are areas of the school that we did not do. They're areas that have been encapsulated. So you have asbestos floor tile on the bottom, and you have VCT on top, but the VCT tile in lots of places is starting to crack. In order to replace the VCT tile, you have to remove the whole thing. So it becomes an asbestos project in the amount of $95,000. Projects 16, 18, and 19 are to resurface gym floors at Indian Brook, South Elementary, and Federal Furnace in a total amount of $108,844. The gym floors are original. Many of them are pitted and worn, and this would be to resurface them. Project 17 is to replace the gym floor at PCIS in the amount of $180,353. This floor is also original, with the same types of issues. This floor in particular is used very heavily, not just by phys ed and teaching, but by the community. So that would be to replace that floor. Item 20 is a carryover from last year to add exterior card readers to Gemini and Mercury houses and the gymnasium area in the amount of $24,756. Last is another carryover to replace some vertical blinds here at PCIS in the amount of $15,957, and they would replace some of the old curtains that are in the building. So the building repairs and renovations would be $1,371,176. Our next grouping is vehicle and equipment replacement. Excuse me. We have 5 vehicles that we're looking to replace. The first is to replace a food service truck, which is a 2003 F-350 box cut truck. It's used every day to deliver food throughout the district, and it has many miles on it. I don't have the exact mileage here, but it's up there. The second is to purchase a 2019 71 passenger diesel school bus. It says propane, but it should be diesel. In the last few years, COEC has funded 4 district-owned buses, which are used for sports and field trips. The remaining 4 buses are a mixture of 2004, 2005 buses with odometer readings from 139,000 to 151,000 miles. On most days, the 8 buses are fully utilized. In addition, the district has committed 1 bus to transport students to and from the regional agricultural school, realizing substantial savings to the town. The issue we are facing is that we have no spare buses. The purchase of a new bus would allow the district to remove an older bus from service or for service and utilized as a backup, and only placed into service when other buses are in need of repair or maintenance services. The next is to replace truck 945, which is a utility truck for $52,000. It's a 2006 Ford utility truck with 37,729 miles on it. This vehicle has been being repaired for quite a while. The body is rusting from years of sand and salt and other issues, a cracked manifold, bad radiator. We've put a lot of money into this truck, but it's very tired. The next is to replace truck 949, which is another utility without a sander. It's a 2002 Ford utility that we do use for plowing. It has 89,727 miles on it. Again, many repair items have been done on it. This year we'll be doing some work on a manifold and some leaf springs and transmission to get it ready for plowing. The next is to replace truck 940, which is a rack body dump truck with a power tailgate. It's a 2006 with 96,827 miles on it. The body needs replacement due to rotting floor rails, and the 4-wheel drive transfer case is no longer operational, so it's just a 2-wheel drive vehicle. The last is to replace truck 948, which is an F-150. It's a 2000 F-150, and it has 105,400 miles on it. We've certainly gotten our money's worth out of that vehicle. It's time for a new one. The vehicle and equipment total is $323,000. Our next category is Plymouth South High School equipment, which was cut from the FF&E construction budget due to value engineering. Always did like that term. These are monies that we raise through our auction, and those monies would be put to use by purchasing these items. The first is a gym floor cover for $50,000, a discus cage for $7,700, blinds for the band and chorus room, $8,000, science department weather station tripod, pH sensor, physical globe and growing center, $16,000. Scissor lift for the maintenance department, $33,400. CVTE has a smart table for $5,000, an indoor char grill for $6,300, and lockers for construction for a total of $15,700. And visual and performing arts is looking to get a slab roller and music library shelves for $7,895 for a total of $138,695. Our last grouping is bonded projects. The first project is to do brick remediation at Nathaniel Morton for $2,025,000. That is the continuation of that second project. Would be to do a more extensive, in-depth study and remediation of all of the brick on the exterior of Nathaniel Morton. The last two projects have been here for a couple of years. They're for roof replacements at West and Indian Brook. They've been down there as placeholders as we move forward so that no one gets shocked by seeing a big roof replacement when the time comes to do it. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to try and answer them.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Montron?
I
Mr.
do,
Begley?
just to confirm, on the gymnasium floors,
Mhm.
that's the rubber coating?
They're poured-in-place rubber floors. So it would be, the resurfacing would be to take off a layer and resurface it, and the PCIS one would be to remove the entire floor
And redo the whole.
and either redo it with the rubber flooring or more likely a wood flooring.
To redo it with a wooden floor?
Yes.
Okay. Because we've done these in the past,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We resurface
Yep.
every few years, it seems.
Yep.
So wooden would be better.
Yep.
Right? More of an upfront cost, but not as much
More
as
of
a
an
maintenance.
upfront cost, but down the road, it saves you.
Better investment.
Yep.
Good.
Anybody else have any questions, Mrs. Badger?
I just have a quick one about, so we've got the intercom for Plymouth South Elementary, and then we have the intercom for PCIS, but they're so far apart, should they?
No.
I don't know, does it?
PCIS is still
Isn't as imp-
workable
Okay.
and repairable.
Okay,
South Elementary, we had an issue earlier this year where it just
okay,
died.
okay. Just wanted to check.
Anybody else?
No, I was just wondering, what slab roller on performing arts, what would that be?
Mrs. Fry.
It's the call center, right? That rolls up?
It is, the Plymouth South High School, during the whole process, Mr. Montron likes the word value engineering. We did have to cut about $500,000 from the FF&E purchases, so we had to look at big ticket items, and so VPA, athletics, CVTE, science, and building maintenance took the real hits, because obviously English doesn't have a lot to cut out of a building project for furniture. We weren't going to get rid of desks. In regards to what it is, Mr. Capel recommended this, and it is from Portland Pottery. I do not know exactly what it is, to be frank, but he's requesting that, as well as
Looks
Wenger
like
Music Library storage shelves. So those were the
Ms.
big
Badger
pieces.
like
actually
this.
just pulled up a picture of
Excellent,
it.
okay.
It looks like a
So I think
big
the-
printer.
What?
I don't know, like,
Oh,
For the
all
arts
right, so-
department?
Yes, it's for
Or
visual
the-
performing
Yeah,
arts.
visual
Oh, okay, for the art department.
I know every single maintenance item what it is, but I do not know I
That-
apologize. It's the one item in the
slab
package, so. And again, these were cut, and the other big piece, the reason the discus cage and concrete pad, that's the area behind the stadium. And we were fortunate through the project. It's all about use, space that can be used. So we were able to get irrigation behind that field, so they had to take up the original discus cage. But we now have more practice places for the kids once the front is done. And it will help the lacrosse team, boys and girls, have equal access to the stadium, because the track, the discus will be off the track, because if they're throwing the discus in the track, lacrosse cannot practice at the same time for safety, obviously. So kind of opens up the scheduling even better, so once these fields are done. So.
All right, any more questions?
Just a quick question too regarding some of the roof replacements and some of the projects that have been presented by you like last year when it goes to outlay in the spring. Can you sort of provide like a general sense of urgency on some of the projects that really need to take precedent?
The lists are in what is my priority.
Yeah.
Okay, so each bundle is prioritized by what I feel district-wide it should be.
Yeah.
As far as the bonded projects go, like I said, the brick remediation is going to be more urgent, so it moved right to the top. Last year, there were only 2 items there.
Yeah.
The roofs at West and Indian Brook are still being maintained. They were put there as
That was sort of
place-
my concern, because I know that that had come up with outlay last year with these
Yep.
3 bonded projects in particular, but what's really the life span on these things? I mean, are
I'm
we worried?
figuring the roofs at Indian Brook and Federal Furnace, all things considered, and staying the way that they are right now, it would be another 3, maybe 4 years before that roof is actually replaced. The reason they went on to these is because of the work we did on the roofs with the HVAC systems. And we put gas on the roof and units on the roof. We did the same project here at PCIS, and we replaced the roof the year after. it's not as urgent, as I said, as the brick remediation at Nathaniel Morton.
But you're there at the capital outlay, aren't you? Right. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's lucky.
Yeah, so I mean.
Lucky me.
I think just one other correction so you folks can note, the blinds are not 8,000, they're 800. So that was something we got after the original information was submitted to Mr. Montron. So that's one correction on that. That is south. And we were fortunate that through the auction that we facilitated, the revenue was approximately 175,000, which was great with a lot of the products.
So how much will be left?
I
So
believe-
everything in category 3 is being covered by the auction money,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So how much will be left?
Of the auction money? Approximately 40,000. It comes to about 132, so about a 175.
Because some people were trying to spend that money, if you recall.
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's good to see that there was a purpose for that money.
And I think that
Okay.
was already agreed, and that was forgotten about when that was
Yeah.
mentioned before. All right, anything else? This is an action item. Do I have a motion?
I will move the list as recommended.
Second? Mrs. Burgess? Any discussion?
We all seconded.
Oh, everybody-
Everyone at the same
everybody
time.
seconded.
Any discussion?
Three and 4
Only
and
looking to
5.
our right.
6. All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
Oh, I gotta go back somewhere. Oh, crap. How do I do it?
Hit sync. You hit sync?
For joint
Oh, you're
meeting.
not.
I'll get the
Mine's not
cost
coming up.
table out. Okay, I'm all right now.
What if you had joint
I just gotta
meeting?
get up there.
Sometimes I feel like-
It's not coming up.
Come on.
She isn't even thinking.
There it goes. Oh, it's not up.
It says I'm connected, but I have some weird message.
Joint meeting, because you're.
Yeah, I am. I'll join it again.
Network connection issues. You getting that pop up too?
I'm not getting that pop-up.
I'm not.
I see,
Mr. Begley, Mrs. Trishelli, and Mrs.
see
Burgess
half the
not
votes
coming
have gone
through.
through.
Nope,
so-
I'm just
getting
sort of
a network
stalled.
Connectivity issue, just
Yeah.
got a pop
When I
up
just
for that.
do a verbal
I guess we
vote.
have to do the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Can we do it manually?
So moved by Mr. Begley, second by Mrs. Burgess, we have that, and then
Okay. All right. So all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, passes.
Thank you.
Okay. And the next item is job description, adoption, amendment, and review. Mrs. Fry.
Yes. As you folks know, we are going through all the job descriptions and updating them. The first one this evening is a new job description, the Indoor Athletic Event Liaison. And you may remember, it was one of the first things we did when I took over this position last year, that we added an outdoor athletic event liaison. Our facilities are so beautiful that many outside groups are renting them. And we had that for the fields at North and South and the track at both schools and the tennis courts. But we found a need now for the indoor facilities. I joked that no one ever wanted to rent the South High Gym before now, and now it's a little popular. But we actually had a meeting about this. It was brought to our attention, Mr. Costin and I, and we met with the athletic directors and the administration at both schools and people who handle the rentals, and it's come up already. There's actually a cheer group looking to rent Plymouth North, and there's so much high equipment in there, from the sound system to the weight equipment, all at both schools. So we thought we should put this into place. And if the document that you have, I highlighted in yellow the main changes from the outdoor athletic event liaison. So it really was a change of verbiage with gymnasium clock, scoreboard, batting cages, putting in the fitness centers. We would not let outside groups access because of the expensive equipment in there. And then also the cheerleading groups need to have the specific mats, and that would be something that would be done prior to the event by the building custodians, so that those are done in a certain way and secured after, because those are very expensive as well. So, but I can tell you personally, the outdoor event liaison has been a lifesaver and has been fantastic, because there's lots of people who don't have attachments to Plymouth South or North renting these facilities, so it is generating revenue, but they're really making sure our facilities are protected, and our custodians also, there's also a custodian there for overtime as well, so And it goes in line with the policy, the facility use policy that you folks have put together over the years. So that is the first.
Any questions? All right, do we have a motion?
Ms. Badger.
Oh, Michelle, I'm sorry, Mrs. Badger.
You can, I was
Ms.
just gonna
Badger.
move it as
Oh, okay.
presented.
Second,
I'll second it.
Mr. Bagley? All right, is everybody connected? Can we do a?
I don't know if I am.
I don't think it's coming.
Because I'm using my phone, I'm automatically connected. All right.
I have no problem.
We take a vote?
No, it's not working for me.
No, looks like, no.
Looks like we're only
Not
getting.
coming
All
up.
right,
The button
so
Never
Ms.
works
Badger moves, Mr. Bagley seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah, it's-
Any opposed? All right, it passes. And we have one more job
We have one
description,
more,
Mrs.
yes.
Fry?
We have what's called the Category 3 paraeducator job description. I'm glad Mr. Pinto's in the audience. Tom sits on the committee with me for this. Mrs. Dargy put a handout at your seat tonight. This is just a page from the paraeducator contract. I don't know how familiar you are with the paraeducators and the different categories that we have there. It's actually an excellent breakdown of them, but I gave you this because you're going to hear 24 different job descriptions over the next month or so that are all, they're former paraprofessionals, they're now called paraeducators. And what happened was in the last contract, they were grouped into these 4 categories on this sheet of paper. And essentially, they're in the categories, it's very obvious: instruction, building support, specialized support, and then specialized therapeutic. And their salary is based on those as well. So it really is a great breakdown. But what we've learned is that we don't have any up-to-date job descriptions of any of these positions. So the prior job descriptions are from 1992. So we decided to tackle the paraeducator a little while ago. So when I bring the paraeducator job descriptions for you, they're brand-new documents. We've taken words, but we had to legally make them sound better than what was in place. But, for example, the life skills, there was not a life skills paraeducator. There was not a care program in 1992, those things. So there were a few that existed, but even those are very, very archaic. So I'm working with whoever the project, special ed has been the first one, which we'll speak about tonight, category 3. And then Carolyn Rains, the union is at every meeting. So I bring in, Lisa White is tomorrow for literacy. So I just wanted to kind of give you an overview. When you get sick of the word paraeducator, blame me. But I think my vision was last year we ensured that our Aspen linked to all these titles, because originally we had about 48 titles, but it should have been 24. So we've pared that down, so kind of the job matches the exact title, and now the job description will match it. We're visionary in our job description committee. So that being said, tonight, in category 3, all of those fit into one title. This is the only one where they all fit in. So they're all program paras. Essentially, if you're a category 3 para educator, you work in a program. So you can see Project Growth is a program at Plymouth North. CARE is at a bunch of the schools. ASD is at a bunch of the schools. So hopefully it's not too confusing. I wanted to just present this before I talked about the job descriptions. But what we have also done is all paraeducators will have the same content, but as the level goes up, things increase. So kind of turning over to what you have in front of me, the Category 3 paraeducator, this is a brand-new job description. And the common lines that you'll see is the confidentiality line will be in every paraeducator job description. The trainable in CPI, non-crisis intervention model, that will be in all of these job descriptions. Typical things like assisting the teacher, it'll be therapist, it'll change. But for category 3, this has some unique ones, number 18 and 19 on the second page. Those are students with daily living and things of that nature. Those are the category 3 paras are the ones who work with our students who have feeding, toileting issues, things like that. So this is our first one that's come to you, but you'll see consistent language in every paraeducator, whether they're in the library, whether they're special education, but this is one of the higher ones. So I don't know if that was clear. I speak in paraeducator language, so I don't know if it sounds.
Questions on this one? Ms. Badger?
I just have a few things, and some of it could just be the fact that I'm on an iPad.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we've got the same kind of format on all of our job descriptions, and this is kind of the same, but it's a little bit off. Are we gonna move to
It will all
this?
move into the
Okay,
official, yep.
Perfect, okay.
Yep.
And then, you have qualification on number 3, just a suggestion on wording. Possesses good communication skills, both verbal and written. Could you just write possesses good verbal and written communication skills?
Sure.
Just to, I don't know, get it all out there. And then on number 6, you have a space between the student and the S, students. And on 12 in the performance section.
Yeah.
Team is in all caps. I don't know if that stands for something and I missed something.
It's because of the team meeting process, IEP, so we
Okay,
wanted to
so
make sure
different
they
than just
knew.
like team.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the number 18, I know that it seems like a weird combination to have both of those together. Like, I know that they can also come together. I have friends who do this, but it just seems like a funny,
I think it's,
like, I just didn't know if it should be like,
I think it's
exposed to
because,
aggressive-
unfortunately, when there is aggression, at times there are bodily
at
fluids.
this, yeah, I've heard.
So,
yeah,
which is
yes.
different than the toileting need. So
Okay.
I think it's the link to the aggressive behavior.
Yeah.
And that's something when you go through CPI training, you're trained in how to handle that. We're all trained in that when we do. So it's
Okay, so
difficult,
they
but I
do
think
go
it's,
together? Okay.
in talking to Dr. Rogers, it's very important in this job description, so people know up front that
Yeah.
that's a part of the
No, of
job,
course.
depending on the child's need and
Perfect.
things like that.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Any more questions? All right. Do I have a motion? Ms. Badger?
I'll move sorry, you go. No,
you go right
Oh, okay. I move that we approve this as presented.
I will second.
All right. And any discussion?
I'm not on
You're not
mine.
on anymore?
I'm not on
Any
it.
Bumped out
discussion?
again.
I can't even get up
I think I
the
am.
agenda.
We'll do it manually then.
I can't get anything.
So
up.
seeing no discussion, do we have a vote? All in favor? Any opposed? No? Okay, the motion passes. All right, fundraising activities. Does anybody have any question or discussion on the fundraising?
Just to
Mr. Campbell?
Just a comment. You notice we've
Or
added
Dr.
it.
Campbell.
That's quite all right. I answered a lot of things. You just notice we've added some clarity to the fundraising form. So in addition to, in terms of color coding, just for your own sake, yellow means that we've received the net proceeds, and those fundraisers are complete. The blue are new. And the red font means that it's just about time to start receiving some gross and net receipts on those. So we use this for our own sake internally when communicating to the building. So you can see the buildings and the fundraisers that we've communicated out to recently. So just another level of detail that we're adding to the report.
Ms. Badger?
I have it's a fundraising question, but it's not. Is South High School doing the trees again this year? I just didn't see it on here. No trees? Okay.
No trees, they're taking a
Note
break
to
from
self,
the
I gotta buy
trees.
my tree somewhere else.
I know, me too. They're beautiful trees. I'm very
Out
upset
there.
about it. I'm
They were really
sad.
nice trees.
They're unbelievable. It's a long story.
Okay.
They're great coaches. I think they're tired of the
Well, yeah,
tree, like
they
the
should be.
staff. They're gonna take a year off.
It's an opportunity for another building to get the
I'm gonna ask
trees.
them to go back and get the trees. So.
Anyone else? I have a quick question.
Sure.
And there might not be an answer to this now, and it actually reminded me when I was listening to the Visual Performing Arts talk about the several fundraisers that they had planned for their event. And I know that the booster clubs in both schools do things differently. I do know that North has a policy that the teams are only allowed one fundraiser each, and there's a cap on the amount of money per student. I don't know if South does it the same way or not, but listening to, I have had a lot of parents, and maybe it's just the booster and it's nothing that we have any control over, that I know that there have been instances where the teams have needed something special, like a piece of warm-up equipment, and that cap has, or that one fundraiser has been real prohibitive, especially if it wasn't a successful fundraiser. And then, sitting here listening to the 3 or 4 that this one event was able to have for visual performing arts, is that something that we can address or look at or have a discussion and see if that's still a fair practice?
I just know a little bit about the history, that I know it for Plymouth South and I believe Plymouth North, that the Booster Club votes on the fundraising guidelines, so there is a specific document of what is, and it is usually one event, and at South, a certain amount goes into the booster kitty versus the student, and things of that nature. And it has to be voted on by that group because they are a separate organization.
what I
So,
thought.
and whereas with the VPA fundraisers, and there are a lot, I used to sign them all, and it's really led by the teacher group. So just like if Mr. Carpenito's bringing a group to Spain, he has a little bit more flexibility than the parents. And the hardest part is that parents get hit with a lot, so it is tricky. But the Booster Club, it's been actually the South one, Laura Vickery's husband wrote, and it was excellent years ago. I always remember. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and it may be tricky to, thinking about all the district-wide programs and some of the fundraisers were done for district-wide programming, and if we limit it to one, what kind of
Per
impact that may
team.
have, where our athletics program is funded by the district, and these programs aren't necessarily, so I do see it as slightly different, but it could be a challenge if we were to suggest that, or to mandate, I guess, that every opportunity only have one fundraising opportunity tied to it.
And I think
I'd be concerned about the
I'm
ripple
thinking
effects
the
it might be.
opposite is
Right,
what
okay.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, but sure, and as Mrs. Fry
think
said,
one
I
of
think the
the-
boosters having their own bylaws and.
And I think one of their goals was equity amongst the teams, so that I could hear Kyle Braun's voice in my head, that, so that if one team's very active, they don't look better than the other
Right.
team, and the equity. We're fortunate with the uniform cycle is outstanding and things like that, but
All right.
it is tricky.
I know I've had a lot of questions about it, so
Yeah.
I just thought I had the responsibility to bring it up.
Great.
Okay, don't think, that's not an action item, right? Nope. All right, next, reports and proposals from committee members. Anybody have anything? Ms. Badger?
I just wanted to say that I thought that the college fair was really well done this year. People seemed to really, I think there were more people there than there was last year. It was really nice. I heard from some counselors who were around me at my table who were just they seemed very happy with the students that from South and North who came over to their table. So it was nice to hear. And then again, I think it's the Plymouth North field hockey team. I just think they did a great job. They really did. Their coach is excellent. No, it's a great group of girls, as she says, and they played their hearts out on the field. So it was fantastic. There she is. And then the CVTE dinner was, I think, incredible with the student who is the girl who I didn't.
Chelsea.
Thank you. Chelsea was incredible. And I just really hope that all the students get to see that video when it's ready, because she was really powerful. And I think it doesn't matter whether you're a vocational student or whoever you are, what your passion is, but the way that she presented it really was like,
Presented it really well.
follow your passion and this is how you find it. And it was really nice.
To actually show what she'd done for advertisements and all.
Yeah.
And they were very vibrant.
It was
I
really-
haven't seen them on TV, but anyway, they were good. But it added to her presentation rather than her just standing and talking about what she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Any other?
That's all I have.
I have, we met, a few
Oh, yes.
people,
Some
a
of
few
us
people have
went.
mentioned this tonight, but the Moon Over Buffalo production
It was great.
was excellent, and Dr. Campbell's
Campbell's
daughter
daughter.
was in it, and she was incredible. Everybody did a great job. The teachers that coach these children have to be commended. I mean, it was a really great night out. I mean, my wife and I went, and this was a great night out. I mean, this was
Glad I
a
missed
really
it.
fun performance to
It was.
watch.
It
It
was.
was very well done. And now we have Little Women in two
Yeah,
2 weeks.
17th, Friday.
So, I have it right on the back here.
Yeah, we can get on
So
tickets.
17th and 18th of November, so everybody's got to get their tickets for that. Because I'm sure if it's like the other night, it's going to be an
Saturday
excellent
sounds
night
good.
out, and it'll be in the new theater.
I know, that's great.
So that'll be really cool. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, I know I saw some emails going around. Did we land on a date for the meeting with JB?
Yeah, I believe we got
It was
notice it's
Monday, the 13th at
But I saw
noon.
quite a few saying you couldn't make it, so I didn't know if we were
There
going
was
to
some
stick with it.
misinterpretation, I
Yeah,
think,
I think you have
if it was today.
That was my fault. I thought it was today. I was racing home from Boston to try and get to the
I thought it
meeting.
was today, too. It was.
No, it wasn't today. yeah.
No, it's
Next
it's Monday. But
12
it
o'clock's
is, it
hard
is a
for Bob,
difficult,
right?
it is a difficult time for most of us because we work during the day.
Or I guess we're gonna look into possibly, I don't know if we can conference some of us in, like I can attend
Yeah.
remotely.
It's allowed, so.
If we can do that. I just can't be physically at town hall on a
And-
Monday at noon.
Talking to Dr. Miesis today, he said that he is going to be, both him and Dr. Sorensen are going to be home in time from their trip to attend the meeting.
Yeah.
Good.
A little jet
And
lagged, but they'll.
are we going to get an answer to our questions prior to that meeting, or?
We got a
We got a
letter.
lot,
You
we
got
got it
communication
on.
Got a
was
letter.
sent to you this afternoon.
Yeah,
Yes.
we got it today.
Yes, so if you check
This
your,
afternoon, good.
check
Yeah,
the Plymouth
we did
email,
get it, so
you'll
find
notice
it on
that.
your email.
And we'll have an opportunity to discuss it afterwards, after the meeting as a group, I believe. That's the plan.
And-
Good.
And Hedge School's field, too, we went to that
Yes.
since then, too. That was kind of cute. But it is cute, and it's good for them, and it was a really nice field. It'll be better once they move the swings out of the field, because otherwise they'll get bonked. But,
I
I have a
oh,
quick
Mr.
question,
Morgan?
in regards to the meeting on the 13th, so is the expectation is that we'll
Yeah, that
be
was-
voting on the 20th in regards to that land?
I imagine, yeah.
Because isn't there a special town meeting now on December 6th?
6, yes.
So,
Right.
And that wasn't supposed to be on the agenda, it wasn't supposed to be, when they voted to have the special town meeting, it was only supposed to be for the promenade
A waterfront
article.
project.
But now they're revisiting the Aubrey Street also,
And they added one for Randy Parker.
and they have another one
Yeah.
that was made.
Yeah, so
So
now
the-
they have a
The
3.
warrant's growing.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I have something, does anybody else have anything else?
I was just going to speak on behalf of the sort of the Overy Street stuff
Well,
that's been.
yeah, are we, is that, okay.
No,
sorry.
that, it clarified some of the questions I had about, are we going to be able to have, I think, more clarification on the project before we move forward, and are we going to vote right
Yeah,
thereafter?
we'd have to at next meeting. We would have to.
And when we find out whether or not we can conference in, if someone can shoot us an email?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just because I don't think I can.
We can.
I may
we
have a
can-
schedule
I have an
conflict now,
appointment in the
too.
morning, so I can't leave twice.
And I'll be on the sea on the way to the Bahamas, so I won't be able to conference in, I'm sorry.
I'm sure you could find time on the sea for
You
that.
and I can go.
No, if I can get in line, maybe I'll conference in, we'll see.
But we can, I think, for those who would have to
It's
tap
too
in
hard and too
remotely, we
expensive
can
on the boat
look into that and assure that that would
Doing it.
take place.
Okay.
I've
That it's
been
allowed,
on the
so
boat.
there's no reason why not.
I do have a really quick, I'll make it quick. I have some notes. I did attend the MASC, conference this week. And I just have a couple of,
How'd those votes go?
So, actually, everything passed, even what we didn't want to vote for. But I will tell you, I brought there was a lot of discussion. There was an amendment made to the one with the date for the count for the funding.
Oh, yeah.
I had my sheets with me. I don't know where they are. It was changed. There was a lot of discussion about that because what was decided was that even the date that was proposed in here of March 15th was too late. And actually, the date was, after several different options, it was changed to January 1st. So it's almost going back. And again, this isn't set in stone. This is just something that we're going to fight for. So it was the movement of the Chapter 70 funding enrollment date to January 31st is what it was amended to, and that passed. They talked around several different dates, but basically they said, at one point they wanted to send it back to committee, and they said, any date right now was better than the date that they had, so they wanted to change that. Everything else passed. With fairly little discussion. There was a lot of discussion on the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid, and basically they realized it was because it was called the Affordable Care Act. and some people had some issues with it being political. But basically, what they decided is that's what it's called now. And if it's called something else another time, then it's just going to be inserted right in there. So it's basically, it doesn't matter what it's called and what anybody's political beliefs are, it's where the money is going and what's happening. So that was passed as well. So that was that. I did attend a workshop on Chapter 70, and I know one of the things that we voted on was the recommendations and the Foundation Budget Review Committee. So they just went over some of the recommendations that they have, and they want us to continue to support that. And a lot of it, I think, is really important for us, too, because it was to adjust the health insurance to be in line with the GIC rate, to add retired health insurance inflation separately from the inflation of the rest of the school budget, and to calculate it separately so it's not included in our budget, because we do say every year that's a huge part of our budget is the health insurance and the increases with that. I went to a really interesting workshop on the Global STEM Center. I don't know if Dr. Campbell is familiar with that, but it's a science program where, and it's kind of, I thought a lot about what we do with China, with Japan, with England. One of the new things they're doing is haloportation. So they're not just Skyping anymore, they're haloporting, which is like a hologram. And they're going right into the classrooms and doing virtual field trips. If you want to look more into it, it's globalstemcenter.org. They really recommend it for the elementary school level because that's where the readiness is to do stronger projects right now. And one of the things that they said is because STEM is so important, and they want to educate as to why instead of how. And you know, they focus so much on testing and MCAS and PARC and 2.0. What they said is if, one of the quotes that I took away from that is if we do the right things, MCAS will take care of itself. So I just thought it was a really interesting, if you want to look at that website and see some of the things that they do. Another thing that Mr. Costin and I actually intend, I just promoted you, a vocational technical agricultural best practices. It was almost like a round robin. And there were two of them that we went to. I don't know if Dr. Costin agrees with me or not, but there was Keefe Tech in Framingham does a summer camp. And it was really, really interesting, and it's a fee-based summer camp. So they do actually make a little bit of money off of it. They said they're not in it to make money, but they do fund the entire program. They hire students, tech students, to run it, as well as teachers. And what it is it's like an exploratory in the summer for middle school students to see what it's like to go to these tech programs. But they also have some recreational fun game things as well as they get lunch. But they can choose two, correct me if I'm wrong, two tech programs to explore. And they had a great video, and they actually can do like electrical or culinary or cosmetology, and it's actually a summer camp, and I believe it's a 2-week program, and they run 2 of them. I don't know, Dr. Costin, did you have any, I did it again. Mr. Costin, do you have anything else to add?
Pretty much.
It was a really cool program, and I don't know if it's something that we can even look into or see what it does.
My favorite part of that, by the way, was the plumbing where they did the water chair. You could
Yeah.
sit in the water chair.
They made a lawn chair and then hooked it up to the plumbing.
Up
so
to
that
the hose.
you
That
off
was
in the
great.
summer.
I know that's something I brought back to our administrative team. I did bring back a quick report on that. I know that we do offer summer opportunities for our students. We have a science camp. We have a video television camp that we do now. And, how this would fit into that is something I'm sure that we can look at. I did, and I think that you and I both reacted to the price. We thought it was rather pricey what they were charging, but recognizing that they're really inside the 128, 495 beltway, so a
Right.
little bit different.
Yeah, they charge $595 for 2 weeks. But they have 800 campers, 114 workers, half of which are students. There is no busing, so that's that's a little bit of an issue as well. But it's called Summer Discover, Camp Summer Discover. So it's just was a really cool thing. And then the other thing, I went to another workshop about addressing mental health, and Falmouth Public Schools actually has a partnership now with McLean. And what they do is they actually Skype in counselors and psychiatrists from McLean. It's very confidential. They'll use initials, but they can almost like consult with their students or some cases that they have that they're working on in order to better help the social emotional learning of their students. So I thought that was a really interesting thing, and a lot of it was paid through the health insurance and covered that way. And then lastly, we got a chance to hear from Jeff Wilson, the acting commissioner of education. I actually really liked what he had to say. He was really impressive to listen to, and he seems very supportive. One thing that he did that just got a little bit of a groan from everybody is he said, next year I want you to invite all the charter schools to come to this conference, and that kind of got a groan. But other than that, everything that he said was really encouraging and impressive. The other keynote was Andrea Cabral. She's an ex-assistant DA, sheriff, really, really impressive woman to listen to. Her message was about civility and civility in our schools and how our kids behave. And one of her messages was that if we have incivility at the top of our federal government right now, it's trickling down, and you know, how it's just unacceptable to be behaving that way from everyone. But she was really impressive. And then lastly, I'm looking at his watch. Lastly, I did offer, and I think I got Mr. Costin and Dr. Maestas involved in the conversation. I was bragging about our schools and Plymouth South High School, and I was talking to some people from our division, Division 3. I don't know if anybody's ever had a chance to attend those Division 3 meetings, but they're really hard to get to. They're in Bridgewater. So in March, we're going to have one at Plymouth South High School. So they asked us if we would do that. I was telling everybody about our school and all the accolades and everything that's going on, so they asked if possibly they could have a meeting there. And Dr. Maestas talked to them and said, absolutely, you know, we'd love to have you. I think Mr. Costin said we could provide some food for them. They'll actually pay us for the food, or MASC will. So stay tuned for that.
Very
good.
good.
It's going to be, well, there's something else going on in March. There's another event it's Day on the Hill. They're going to try and figure out when Day on the Hill is, and then work around there, and then do it from there.
Okay.
But I'm in contact with the president of the division, and we're going to do it. And that's it for my reports. I did, I missed the dinner because I was stuck in traffic. But I'll tell you, today, my kids work for Mamma Mia's, and I had a conversation with the woman in the office who was at the meeting from Mamma Mia's, and she said they were blown away by the food, and she kept talking about the swordfish kebabs. So just to tell you that comes from, one of the best restaurants and, chains in the area.
They want the char grill.
Yeah, so they were very happy about that. All right, so sorry about that. I know that was a little bit longer than it should have, but I wanted to get all that information out. All right, next we have the homeschool plan approval. And this is any questions on that? An action item? Oh, no?
we have PYDC?
Wait, what did I forget?
we-
Oh, sorry. PYDC reports.
Oh, I don't think we
Yeah,
have.
there's no November meeting. Next meeting is in
No,
December.
that's right.
We do, as I think I mentioned last time, we're in the process posting for a PYDC coordinator through the grant that we received, and those applications are coming in, and that process should be complete before the Thanksgiving break. So hopefully we'll have a person in place for December to bring in, and we can also introduce here as well.
Thank you. And Mrs. Burgess, anything from the Plymouth Building
It's going to
Committee?
be Thursday night,
Okay, great.
this Thursday night.
All right. Next, we have home education plans.
Yes, so
Any
the-
questions, or do you want?
These There are 2 education plans here that have been vetted by Dr. Halpin's office per school committee policy, and we present them here for your consideration.
Great. Do we have a motion to?
I thought she was
Mrs.
going,
Mrs.
sorry. I move that we approve the home education plans that are presented.
All right, do I have a second? Mrs. Burgess? Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Oh, I think I can vote.
Do it.
Can we vote now?
I
No,
got,
I can't.
oh, you can't. Oh, okay. I got on my phone.
Yeah, I can, but,
I
all
can,
right, all
too.
in favor? Any opposed? All right. All right, next, accounts payable warrant, Mr. Morgan.
Okay, well, hopefully, I'll get this,
I know. And I
Alright.
did not print that.
yes, I'm having some computer,
You did?
oh, here we go.
Just gonna say, I think I have
Yeah,
it.
it's frozen.
You got the same thing.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Whereas the school committee members have been provided with a copy of the cost center transfer and transaction summary report and the warrant for review, I move that Plymouth School Committee accept and approve the report and FY18 accounts payable warrant S110917 dated November 9th, 2017, in the amount of $1,433,865.87.
All right, do we need a second for that? Second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bagley? Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Oh, I can
Any
vote.
opposed?
I voted. Wow, it came
All
out.
right, passes, thank you. All right.
Came up for.
And last but not least, obsolete equipment. Dr. Campbell, did you?
Yeah, so we have some disposal of equipment from South Elementary School, some conference room chairs, student desks, laminator, and computer tables that are unrepairable and obsolete and recommended for disposal.
All right, do we have a motion? Mr. Shelley? Oh, no?
No, go ahead, you can motion.
Ms. Badger?
You're on fire tonight.
I move that we approve the
She's taking the
disposals.
night off.
I know.
I'll just skip.
No, I thought you were gonna go. I'll second.
All right, seconded by Mrs. Trishelli. Any discussion? All in favor?
It's Monday.
Any opposed? No? All right, that passes. All right, I have no idea what time it is because I can't see.
It's
9:10.
9:10, the meeting
Yep.
is adjourned.